Welcome back, YouTube, to Icy Chap's Edge. I'm Icy Chap, here with another video in my series on rope and knot tying. This time I'm going to be covering bends. Bends are basically knots which tie two pieces of rope together. In this case, they can be used either to tie two pieces of rope into one longer piece of rope, or to tie the two ends of the same piece of rope together, in which case they'd be called a binder. But in any case, binders are just a subcategory of bends. There are basically only three types of bends which I use, and I'm going to show you each of those three. There are many, many more types of bends, some of which are more secure than what I'm going to show you, but for all camping needs and even some wilderness survival situations, these three bends are the only ones you're going to need. So let's get to it. The first bend I'm going to show you is the double overhand knot. And William Cutting 08 used this knot in one of his paracord wrap videos and demonstrates some of the usefulness of the knot. It actually is very secure, and it's also useful because it doesn't seize. It's very easy to untie. And because the overhand knots can be shifted on the lines, I'll show you one way in which it's very versatile. So let's look at how we tie it. Basically, make your two opposite lines parallel, and then you're going to tie two opposite overhand knots. So we'll pass the top line over the bottom line, make our loop, and it's very important to pay attention that for the first overhand knot, we're passing our working end over the standing end, and then through the loop to make our overhand knot. For the second overhand knot, we're going to pass our working end over the standing end of the other line, but this time pass our working end underneath our standing end and then through our loop to make our overhand knot. Now the reason that was important is because we want our knots to be opposite, so that when we pull on the opposing standing ends to work up our bend, we see that the knots are parallel. That's important so that they fit together and make a nice tight bend. So there you have the double overhand knot. Now, the reason why it's versatile is because if we separate the two overhand knots, it creates this space, this loop between them. And if we wanted to, we could put some object in there, cinch them down, and it'll hold that object securely. So there you have the double overhand knot, a very secure and useful bend. The square knot is actually not a very secure bend, but it does make an excellent binder knot. It's secure enough to basically tie together two ends of the same rope, and it's very easy to untie. I'll show you how to do it. Basically, you want to go left over right, then right over left. So we've got our two ends of rope. I go left over right. I cross the working end under the opposing standing end, and then I go right over left through the loop and pull on both the working ends and the standing ends. And I tie my square knot. It will hold reasonably securely if I pull on the two standing ends, but to untie it, it's very easy. All I do is I grab the standing and working ends and push them together, and the knot comes right undone. So there you have the square knot, a very useful binder. The figure 8 bend is the most secure bend that I'm going to show you. And it's a very strong knot. You can definitely bet your life on it. The other nice thing is it will never seize, so you can always undo it if you need it. So here's what you do. You basically tie a figure 8 knot, but don't set the knot. Keep it nice and loose. In fact, I'm going to make it a little looser. And the reason is that I'm going to take the other rope and I'm going to pass it through the figure 8 knot that I just made, making sure that the working end follows the path exactly and keeps the lines parallel. So I'm going to pass the working end through the other figure 8 knot, following the path exactly and keeping the lines parallel. And then once I have two parallel figure 8 knots, I grab the working ends and the standing ends of either line and I pull hard to set the knot. This knot will never capsize, never come undone inadvertently, but it will also never seize, even when you exert a lot of pressure on it. To undo the knot, all you have to do is grab the working ends and the standing ends and push them together, and you'll notice that the knot comes right undone. So there you have it. The figure 8 bend, a very strong, very secure bend. So that's my video on bends, which are knots to tie 2 lengths of rope together or 2 ends of the same rope together as a binder. Please check out my other videos in my series on rope and knot tying. Leave comments, subscribe, and have a good one.
Shake it.